I have an announcement for this area. Where's Doc at?
Right here. His door's locked. Can you imagine? Having an emergency staff meeting. Where is this meeting?
Come on. I need everybody to play. Everybody come. Is everybody here? Hello? Yeah. Listen, I am not starting over. That's not the way this shit works. I've been dropping hits for 25 years. I'm not going to go backwards and not be played on Kiss, not be played on this one, the Latino, the country station, all of that shit. I'm not starting over because you know why? I'm not fucking leaving. I'm not fucking leaving. So let's get into our frequency. Let's realize, let's not forget. Don't make me beg, try to kiss no ass, call nobody, because I'm not fucking leaving and I'm not starting again. Who the fuck wants to start all over? No, let's start it back up where I ended up, and that's number one. Thank you very much. Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
So you guys gave him that much freedom to do the album?
Yes. After the success of Jodeci, we gave him that much freedom to do the album. And boy, did he take the freedom. And boy, and run with it. But it was the right thing to do, and it was worth it. And he took it to the point where it got to the point where he was unmanageable. And it couldn't be, it couldn't be two kings. Andre was uptown.
Were people looking at Puffy as he's the golden child, or what was that? What
he was the golden child, and he was the young lion ready to come for the throne.
Okay, okay.
You know what I mean? He was the young lion coming for the throne, and just like a lion too, savage, savage, and so. He was coming for the throne, and he was going to achieve it too. And but he got to the point where he was unmanageable to us, and he had to go.
Yo, how dare this nigga told me he want receipts? Let's start with your mother, nigga. Your mother got the receipts, nigga. Everything is in your mother's name. That's the one who got the receipts, nigga. You need more proof, nigga? Biggie ain't here, so Big can't give you no receipts. He dead. Craig Mack can't give you receipts. He dead. What are you talking about? Who else? Black Rob can't give you receipts. He dead. And everybody else you made sign paperwork so they can't talk about what I'm talking about. I'm the only one with the guts. And I sign it, nigga. Because I ain't need the money. All money ain't good money. Remember that. Remember that. Remember that, nigga. You know who to play with, nigga.
You got Devontae emerging as one of the greatest producers and a great producer. And the Jodeci album, he basically produced on his own with some guidance from Al B. Shore and Eddie F. But once he was able to stand up and fly on his own, he did it well. He was amazing at it. And he produced the Jodeci album. When we put that Jodeci album out, half of it was A&R by Kurt, but the rest was A&R by a young man by the name of Puff Daddy, who came into Uptown as an intern. Once Puffy put his seasoning on it, on the first two Jodeci records, and he created, we already had the remix, but he came and perfected it. Oh. He came and made the remix like it was a brand new record. He changed the whole record and made it a whole new record. Like we were able to just make remixes before, but it was very similar to the same record that was put out before.
Diddy didn't play anything. So Diddy could literally tell you, yo, I remember the first time I was working on something for Diddy, I did the Total No One Else remix with Foxy Brown, Little Kim, and Da Brat. And I remember the first time I did that with him, I went to go lay my hands down to play the chord. He said, no, I only want you to use 3 fingers. And I was like, what? Because I'm used to playing chords with he's like, only 3 fingers. Because in his mind, that's simplistic to him, wow. Right? So even though he didn't play, he knew exactly what it was he wanted to hear. And that also taught me something. What it taught me was you don't have to be a keyboard player to be a producer. So a lot of times when I was a kid, I read the credits and I thought whoever did the keys was the producer, but that's not the case. That's why if you look at the Winans' first album was produced by Bill Maxwell. Bill Maxwell was a drummer, but he produced the Winans' first album.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So I started to learn what a producer's job and role was. And so Diddy, I always tell people like, yo, Diddy can't play, da da da. I say, yeah, but all his records have the same similar sound. So he knew how to get that sound out of all the producers and that he worked with. He knew how to get that bad boy sound out of it.
Yeah.
And create the new form of making the remix. And those remixes sold just as much as the single.
Wow.
And definitely the album, if not more. So, and you know, like I said, we were selling 3 million albums on Jodeci. And so, you know, he'd have a remix that was sold like 5 million copies, 6 million copies on a single. And so, you know, needless to say, Puffy became a superstar at Uptown. An uncontrollable one, but a superstar nonetheless.
Was he still an intern, or has he been given
He's
that?
He's the intern moving into being an A&R. And there's about 10 different people taking credit for Puffy even coming to Uptown. And there's another 10 people taking credit for bringing Puffy in the office to Andre. And Andre going, get this little black nigga out of my office, man. I don't want to hear that. And, you know, I'm one of them. And because he was my intern as well. And he was something special. Wow. Everything he did, he got done quickly.
Wow.
If you asked him to go to the store, he was back in 1 second. If you asked him to make a record, he had it done. And he was asking for his opportunity. When he got his opportunity, he nailed it. He nailed it because he would surround himself with the best people, and the knowledge that we had already have given him. He took that and really studied it and understood it better than anybody, any intern. And we had great interns. We have interns that have come out of Uptown Records and people that have worked there that are billionaires. Wow. So, and it's not just him, and he's definitely one of them. And he's something special from the beginning. Everything he brought to the table, even the bad attitude, good attitude, it was worth it because he put us on the map.
Wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, because at the time Puffy was so on fire with everything that he was doing. I trusted his judgment and his vision for where he wanted to take just this track that I made and add all of these other people to the song and other elements to the song, and it would be a hit record. And he was just, everything he was touching was gold at that time. So I trusted his vision, and it was just interesting to see a different take on how they saw my music and what they wanted to add to it to take it even further.
Can you give us an example of a track you did that others joined into?
Okay, so I did this record called Get Ready for Mace, which was his first single off his second album. And I had sampled Shalimar, Night to Remember, and I had slowed it all the way down. So it was more of a lyrical record versus just a party record, right? And so when I gave it to them and I laid it down, when I came back in the studio, they had sped the record up, added, you know, sounds and keyboard stuff around it and chords and stuff and lead lines around it. Blackstreet came in and sang the hook on it. So by the time I'm hearing the record, the vibe has totally changed the record. But I understood, like, if you can get your record played on the dance floor, you know, then you can get your music out there. Everybody can hear it more often than just, you know, buying the CD. So the fact that he took it from just a slow lyrical version of the song and speeding it up where you could actually dance to it, now it changes the whole view of how big the record can be, because now you can play it in the party. And so So just understanding his vision and what he had for the record, even putting Blackstreet on there to sing that classic hook by Shalimar and reminding people of how big that record was and how big Blackstreet was at that time. So just understanding how to add those certain elements to make it a hit record versus just a song on an album, you know.
I mean, it's a lead single off his second album, so it's always going to be a big hit. But when he's bringing in Blackstreet and doing this, do you get involved with that part, or do you...
No, but the thing about Puffy, once you lay your part down, you just kind of turn it over to him, and he just does his thing and brings in the right people. So I trusted him. I was hearing all the music they were creating at that time, so I knew my music was in good hands, and he could take the vision further than where I had already just taken it.
Did you still get the producer credits as the main producer on that, or how does?
So you're still the main producer, and these are people that are just adding additional production, but you're still the main producer of the track.
Wow. Okay. I mean, so that's. I mean, it's furthering your sort of education as a producer. Just seeing, because when I interviewed Rodney Jerkins, and he mentioned the same thing where he was doing a remix and Puffy was like, well, don't use too many chords, and he has a very different vision to things like that. So he learned, even though he came from Teddy's camp, he said he learned a lot by just seeing how Puffy would either simplify a track or not too many ad libs and stuff like that. He had a different ear to stuff.
Yeah, and it was just everything that he was doing at that time was just a hit. So you tried it, and 9 times out of 10 he would take the vision so far that you didn't even realize it could even be as big as that.
And when after Jodeci, Kurt Woodley and Andre had a disagreement, and Kurt had got let go or left, whatever the story is really. But he was managing Mary. Puffy comes in, starts producing Mary, and the rest is history. Kurt might have produced 3 or 4 records on the first album, but the rest of it was Puffy. And after that, him and Mary had a musical marriage that has lasted till today. It was incredible. And I'll tell you this right now, like Mary and Puff, they believed in one another to the point where they are connected forever. They have might as well been married musically, and they're connected forever. He's involved in everything she does because he's the primary reason for her success.
Guys, when you got signed, did you know about publishing and ownership and right or credits and all that stuff? Or were you just like, wow, here's Puffy and dancing and stuff and just writing and gave everything away for free? What was it? You've got a manager. Did you know about all this stuff?
Well, I would just have to say that, all of us, we all came from the same neighborhood. So it's not like we were, we didn't go to school. There were no music classes, or we didn't. Nobody had music degrees. So it was one of those things of the school of hard knocks that we had to learn. But you know what though, wouldn't have it no other way because we're Mike and myself we're quite savvy with what's going on now because of that situation. And I mean, if you ask anybody from the 90s at that era, that we all went through it, especially your first project. I mean, this is how the 90s was built. Yeah. So don't even take it personal. But, at the end of the day, because of the things that are happening now and the rules and stuff that are happening right now, trust me, it's a blessing that 112, our music has transcended to the times where, laws and rules have changed.
I interviewed Mike and Slim, and they talked about
Nice.
how you
Oh,
guys,
nice.
from 112, how you guys discovered them, and they owe so
Yeah.
much to you guys. What was for the record, that debut album is, I think, one of the best debut albums. It's a no skip album. It's one album I used to, even now I listen to it, I don't skip any track.
Oh, thank you, man.
I mean, that is one of the best debut albums. I just love the whole vibe of it. It is. Yeah, well, they're just one of the best. And as I said, I've always loved 112. I think that debut album, and Mike was saying that you guys were grooming them to you wanted to sign them, but before Puffy came in and scooped them up, but you still did the work you guys did. How did that whole thing happen? Because they give you a lot of credit when, as I said, and
yeah, man, because it was crazy because our barber at the time would come by and cut our studio, Dallas, because when we first signed to Dallas, we needed a barber. He's like, I got a barber for y'all. Because Dallas had dreads. But he's like, yeah, I got a barber. So this guy, Courtney Seals, come up, he was coming up to the studio cutting hair. And everybody knows Courtney in Atlanta. He goes by Bear, but everybody knows him because he's managed a lot of artists and everything now. But back then, this is the beginning of his career. He was an amazing barber. So he's cutting our hair one day. He's like, hey, man, because he's seeing all the people we working with. And he's hearing us going to Dallas because at this point, we like maybe 6 to 9 months into, working for Dallas. And so, no, actually, it was probably about a year because we kept asking Dallas, man, what can we do to start getting singles? Because we're working on a lot of big projects. We ain't getting no singles. So Dallas said, y'all need your own artists, man. Y'all should find yourself a group. So Courtney would hear Dallas tell us all this. So one day Courtney came to us and said, hey, man, if I start bringing singers in here, man, can we put a group together? It was like, yeah, let's do it. That's how 112 came together. Courtney, one by one, would bring these guys in. Q from 112 was actually in another group with Wingo from Jagged Edge. They were in a group together.
Wow.
And so all these things happened and we realized we wanted Q because of his tone and the way his false was. It was different than Slim's. They all had different tones. Duran was amazing. He played Mike had the really soulful voice. They all had different individual voices. So over the course of maybe a few months, we realized that was the 4 we need to go with, and we just started demoing songs right there in Dallas studio. And so I'll skip to the end of the story. Basically, that went.
No, don't skip. We've got time.
No, I was just gonna say we developed them for about a year and a half.
Wow.
And so now, the same time, because it's funny, after Dallas signed us, a week later we met Puffy. He was working at Uptown, but he came to Atlanta because him and Dallas were even best friends way back then. He was an A&R from Uptown, so we met Puff the first 2 or 3 weeks of even being signed to Dallas. He was one of the first people we met.
Wow. Because
Puff was like, yeah, play me some stuff I'm working on. I'm A&R Mary J's album right now.
So Andre started a company. He started a company, Bad Boy, which was under Uptown. It was a production deal, a label deal under Uptown. Okay. Because at that point, we could do label deals. And he had his first 2 acts, Biggie Smalls and Craig Mack was on Uptown Records. First 2 records, one Craig Mack's record, I think Flavor in Your Ear, and 2 of Biggie Smalls records, Party and Bullshit, and another record. And he bought Biggie, and that blew up. And then he was totally uncontrollable. And then he got fired. Yeah, because he was uncontrollable. So Puffy leaves. I'm asking Andre, don't let Puffy leave. Mark Siegel was the one that was encouraging Andre to fire Puff and telling Andre, because Mark couldn't control Puff at all. Puff didn't have absolutely no respect for him whatsoever. And he was coming in to break up what we had. And he was adamant about letting Puff go.
More so than yourself and Andre.
More so, me and Puff ain't get along at all. I didn't want him to leave because I didn't want the hits to go, because I was the head of promotion and marketing. I didn't want I wanted the hits to stay. I didn't care if he liked me or I liked him. None of that shit mattered to me. I just wanted to stay in our glory. And we had hit after hit after hit after hit with him there. With him gone, we still had hits, but it wasn't the magnitude of hits that we had while he was there.
What was he doing differently though? Because what did he do?
His talent, and who he learned from. He learned from Eddie F. He learned from Devontae. He learned from Teddy. He would learn, and then he put together his own crew. And actually, the proof is in the pudding. They were better. So when somebody's a genius at what they do and they're smarter than you, the right thing for you to do is to try to manage that for as long as possible, because you can't control it. You have to try to manage that. And I'm going to tell you this. When you have an artist, right, the first record you make with an artist, you're the boss, meaning the production company, the distribution company. You're the boss. The second top record that comes, you guys are equal. The third hit record, you're getting fired.
So they take it over.
They don't need you. They need you for. They got everybody coming at them. Every president, every person is telling them what they could do better for them and offering them more money. So you had a company getting $175,000 a year, and Clive Davis comes and says, "I'll give you $75 million to start your. I'll give you $75 million. I'll give you $150 million. It don't make no difference to me. I know what you're going to roll out over here." So we allow that situation to get away from us because we weren't smart enough. The egos got involved.
And one story that might pose an answer is the story when I met Puffy. I was 18 years old DJing at a club in New York, and it was a hot spot, but they kind of gave me like the whack room in the basement. And it was also pouring rain that night, so no one was in the club. But at 3 a.m, I saw Puffy come from the shadows, and he danced, as I remember, by himself until 5 a.m. And I was playing R&B classics of the 70s and 80s, funk, soul, disco, so on and so forth. So I was playing Michael and Prince and Stevie and Earth, Wind and Shaka, so on and so forth. And Puffy finally was walking out around 5 a.m. and walked by the DJ booth and said, "Where's the DJ?" Now, remember, when I was 18 years old, I looked like I was 8. And I said, "I'm the DJ." And he said, "Who's been here all night playing all these classic records?" And I said, "Me." And he wrote down his number and said, "Call me tomorrow." And I was a freshman at NYU, New York University, and I was petrified to call him. And I finally had the confidence to call, and it went straight to voicemail. It said, "God is the greatest, beep." And I never left such an inarticulate voicemail in my life. And I was certain he wouldn't call back, but I thought maybe I'd see him again. Anyway, I went to class and he called back. And now he missed me again. And when I left class again, I ran home to my mother's house, still lived with my mom, and locked myself in a room. And I said, "He called back." And I called him back, and they put him right on the phone. And he said, "Playboy," he said, "How do you know how to play those records like that?" And I said, "Like what?" And he goes, "Like you lived it." Wow. And I'll never forget that. So I don't know.
Okay. And so when Biggie's recording his album, and were you just humming to the juicy track?
Yeah, like, "You know very well." Yeah, we were just like singing, and he was like, "Yo, go put that down." So we did, and you know, we got a little reprimanded for it because, you know, we forgot about the business piece. You know, that's what it was. It was just hanging out. Everything was always a vibe. And, you know, that's when we learned the big lesson. Like, you don't go in and cut vocals or do anything like that without discussing your splits first. But we were like, oh, okay, but you know.
Here's a gift that I'm gonna give to all future singers and stuff. When y'all sing backgrounds on stuff, that's actually a check that you're supposed to get as well too. So don't let the record labels or anybody else tell you that you're not supposed to get paid by singing background vocals. If you sing background vocals, you're supposed to get paid along with being writing the song too. So we know 112 didn't know that at the time, but you know, we're up on that now. Yeah. But you know, that's just food for thought for all you future artists. Whatever, if you sing backgrounds on somebody else's song and it makes the album, like you don't have to worry, that's all Slim. That's all Slim. He was supposed to get a check for that. You know what I mean? So that's the. But yo, bro,
the fact that your manager reprimanded you for that, was it a good lesson you learned early on, or did it make no difference?
Well, it was a good lesson. We learned the lesson. In the scheme of things, with the state of total right now, I don't know that it made any difference, but it was definitely something that I've always, you know, was like, no, you know, let's talk business. Let's put everything on the table first. Because once something is done, it's hard to go back and, you know, discuss business. It's done now. You know what I'm saying? So I know it was something that I stand by till this day.
Yeah. Somebody coming in now, what would you sort of advice would you give upcoming artists?
You know what I would say? Know the business. If you do not know the business, know the business. Know the business. It's good to want to be in it, but know the business, please. And just know that everything, don't believe the hype about everything, you know, really know the business, do your homework, get on Google, find out about some things. And I would tell them, and then I want to tell them, please never, ever, 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 ever give away your publishing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't give away your publishing. Don't compromise who you are. Be who you are. Be the artist that you know that you are in your heart, because bringing your individual artistry to this music industry is so dope. That's how you had the Mary J. Blige's and the Brat and the, you know, SWV and Total and Escape and LL Cool J and Biggie and Craig Mack and Tupac and Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. That's how you had because everybody was individual. Don't do it what everybody else is doing.
I can say this on, you know, your platform as well, just so everybody knows. Our intent was not to leave Bad Boy. We were not, our initial intent was not to leave. Our intent was to be, to get out from under the production deal that we were signed to through Bad Boy, which was taking, what, 80% of what, 40%, I'm sorry, 40% of everything that we made. So from advances to touring, to shows, to anything that we made, endorsements, advertisement, anything that we made, the production company that we were signed to took 40% of that. So we were tired of, you know, giving our money away basically for free, because we were the one that was writing, we was the one that were producing, we was the one that was, you know, that was doing all the years of choreography and stuff. Now in the beginning, yeah, it may have made sense for you to have a production company or an A&R or somebody there in artist development to help us, you know, mold us. But once we are established and we are 112, it became obsolete at that point, and we felt like a change was necessary. So we wanted to leave that situation, not necessarily leave Bad Boy, but leave that situation. Puffy was reluctant to leave that situation alone with regards to 112. So that's the reason why we left. And when we found a better situation over at Def Jam.
Wow! So the production deal that you guys have, because was that on the Bad Boy? Did they have a production company signed to Bad Boy?
It was Arista, boy. Yeah. It was Arista, Bad Boy, Calimia. That was the production deal. 112.
Okay.
So we were signed to Calimia, who then signed themselves to Bad Boy, who was signed to Arista.
Yeah.
So it's an administrative deal. Yes.
Yeah. So you can understand the trickle down effect. So by the time Arista gave us $1 million, by the time it got to us, it was $12,000 a piece. You know what I'm saying? But we were still on the hook for that $1 million though.
Yeah,
so,
So that Kalina, was that Puffy's stuff or was that somebody else?
No, that was the manager / production company. So there was the conflict of interest right there in and of itself. He was the manager and the production company at the same time.
So then why was Puffy reluctant to say, well, you guys you've done well. Because I thought most deals were like that, where after your first album and it does well, it was like, well, we can bring you into the fold because we can see that you're self-sufficient and stuff.
Honestly, we don't have an answer to that other than the fact that the relationship that he had with the then manager / production company at the time. Like outside of that, I honestly don't have a reason why. Because if you have a multi-platinum group that is selling records and making money for you, why wouldn't it make sense for you to try to keep them as long as you possibly could? And if it meant, giving up a production company in order to keep them, then in my mind, then it would have made the most sense to do.
Yeah.
However, because of their relationship, and like I said, I can't go into any more depth than that, but based on their relationship, the reason why we left and went to Def Jam, Def Soul is because Puffy was reluctant to get rid of that production deal that we were signed to.
So that's how we started our relationship with Puff. And so, so anyway, fast forward, like after we going through like developing them, like literally like spending time with them, going to their high school graduations, getting them comfortable with singing with a room full of women. They were so shy and bashful, and so like it definitely was a process.
Okay.
And then Kevin Wells came in. Kevin is Another Bad Creation was his group he had put together.
Okay.
And then Mike Bivens signed him. But Kevin came in the picture and like, took everything to another level, like with their dressing, with their whole like swag.
Yeah.
Anybody know K Wells? They know Kev is like master of artist development. And so like, it's funny because, well, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. We came out to LA to work on a remix for Boys to Men. Kevin calls us, it was like, hey man, Puff wanna sign the kids, man. He going crazy. But at the time, Randy Jackson from American Idol.
Yeah, Randy, yeah.
Randy was working at Columbia.
Yeah.
We had already had a great relationship. Randy was the first executive we met, probably in the music business. One of the very first executives we met that didn't live in Atlanta. Because he would come down, like always, like put us on projects. So we were just always working with Randy. So we always had a great relationship with Randy. So Randy wanted to sign 112 so bad. And they were called Forte at the time. Randy literally flew down like 2 or 3 times to meet, just to listen to them sing. And so so we telling Kevin, like, man, Randy want to sign him. He's like, I don't know, man. Puff, he's about to blow up with Biggie and Craig Mack. And I don't know, it's a good look, man. Well, let's figure it out when y'all get back. We get back, they already signed a Bad Boy.
What?
They was already signed a Bad Boy. And yeah. And it was, for a minute, it was really messed up. Like Dallas was furious because, Dallas is kind enough to let us, well, I ain't gonna say he let us because we had to pay for the studio time ultimately. We spent like $100,000 in studio time on demos with those guys. Dallas took it real personal. And then him and Puff's friendship was like, for a brief second, was cut off. Literally, they didn't speak to each other. Like, they had some like not so kind words to say to each other about it. And like, Puff was like, man, I didn't know this was Tim and Bob's group. And Dallas like, yes, you did. Everybody knew this was Tim. Everybody in Atlanta know this is Tim and Bob group. Like, Dallas was furious. And so next thing you know, Dallas was like, now they got to do an album without Tim and Bob. And so we was like, dang. So we went on and started doing other stuff. One night, Puff called my phone. It's like, yo, man, this ain't working, man. Because they went and got Devontae to produce a whole album on them. And it just wasn't the same as, and Devontae is one of the GOATs.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it.
Yeah.
Huge inspiration to us.
Yeah.
And so, but they couldn't get the vibe right. So Puff called my phone. Hey man, we gotta figure this out, man. Can't do this album without y'all cats, man. We gotta figure this out, man. Seriously, man. Let's come together, man. Come on, man. seriously, I need y'all for this album, man. We got to do it. So I called Tim. I said, hey, man, Puff just called me, man. What do you think, man? Let's just do it. Let's just do it for them, man. They innocent, man. So that's when we called Dallas. Dallas was like, nah, nope. Y'all ain't working with them. It's like, Dallas, we literally have to talk Dallas into letting us do it. So finally Dallas said, all right, go ahead and do it. I don't want to hear nothing about it then. Like, he was really mad about it. It took Dallas a minute to get over that.
Wow.
And so we went up to New York for about a month or two, and did the album. And that's what happened. And it's funny because like maybe 4 or 5 of those songs were actually songs that Boyz II Men didn't use on their album.
Wow.
We redid them on Boyz II Men. I'm sorry, on 112.
Egos got involved, you know, and in this game of entertainment, because I'm in music. I do music through film right now, and I'm in the film business right now. There's no ego. You got to get to work, and you're dealing with brilliant people and creative people, and a lot of them are smarter than you. And how do you outsmart someone that's smarter than you? You have to try to, and your ego can't, and your pride and all that bullshit can't be in the, you know, Puffy has said things to me that made me want to kill him. But not to the point where I want to see the hits go. I don't want the hits to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing about it is we're talented. Andre is very talented, creatively. Like I said, I'm a wordsmith. I made up words that were on records that I should have got publishing for. And it's true. I had every single one of my artists, including Puffy, talking like me, walking, dressing, everything. And that's just the truth. And that's why I can say it freely. But none of that matters when they're able to take your gift and apply it to their gift and make it bigger.
Yeah.
And make it bigger. So what you have to do is, because Andre has a gift that nobody has, and then Puffy has a gift that nobody has, and I have a gift that nobody has, but it's not, you know, Puffy got the total package. And that's why he's a billionaire right now. And I'm over here to borrow some money. I'm trying to phrase things properly so that I don't upset him at all.
I was able to utilize Puff Daddy, Diddy, Sean Combs, Love, whatever you want to call him. He wanted to sign me as a producer to the Hitmen.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So this is before the things you do, the Bad Boy remix, any of that. He heard I was mastering Gina's album at the Hit Factory with Her Power.
Okay.
And it just so happened that he was in a room next door and he heard me working on it through the wall, and he walked in and said, yo, what's that? And Herb was like, yo, this is Kid and his artist. So he's like, yo, I'm picking you up tomorrow. So he picked me up the next day and literally was trying to get me to sign to become one of the Hitmen with Stevie J and Chucky and everybody on that team. So what I did was utilize that relationship and was like, yo, because at that time, Puff was the remix king in New York.
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, I got this artist, we got this record. What if you did a remix? And he was like, I thought he was just gonna shoot me down. Because you know, he was working with all these big artists and she was like brand new. She didn't even have an album, we didn't have a song out yet. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm like, yo, Gina, I got Puff. And then nobody knew who Missy was. But you know, like you had to really be like deep in it to know like, yo, Missy was like part of this girl group that was signed to Devontae.
Yeah,
you know what
sister, yeah.
She stood out, right? And so next thing you know, Puff was like, yo, I'm gonna put this girl Missy on it. And everything just happened. It just like was like, and it was funny because I remember like, it was funny, I go back to like when we were doing the things you do to the Bad Boy remix, right? Which was super dope because I remember walking in. Puff had 3 studios, right? In the middle, the two big studios, and then he had a little small room, and the little small room in the middle is where he got all his samples from. It was just a record player and speakers. So I walked in, and he was like, "All right, we're gonna work on this remix for Gina." And he was like, he was playing like records that he thought was hot samples, and I was listening, and I was like, "Nah." And then he went to play one, and then he stopped himself from playing it. I was like, no, play that one. Play that one. And then he's like, nah, I'm saving that for something else. I was like, no, play that, Puff, play it. And it was the boom, dong, dong. It was the sample, the Bob James sample or whatever, right? And that's I was like, nah, we gotta have that one, Puff. We gotta have that one. And I convinced him to give us that particular break beat. And then we went in the studio and we just started laying the keys down and getting it going. And the funny thing was like, Gina really, if you listen, like she really sings on every song, but then Puff wanted her to like dumb down her voice. So he was just like, I don't want to hear any vibrato. And she was a little frustrated in the beginning when she first was recording because she was like, that's not how I sing. But Puff also, he has his genius.
Yeah.
And you respect his genius, and his genius was, you got all the riffs and you got all of that on all the records that Rodney played me, but I want you to just be simple. I want this to be the jam in the clubs where it's like, everybody can sing along. And if you listen to that hook, it's just like, he took from the original, he took half of the hook and made it repeat. Right? That's what he did. And he made her sing it very just monotone, not a lot of like vibrato at all. I think every time she tried to add vibrato, he's like, no vibrato, every single time.
Wow.
Every single time. So that's how that came about, man. And it's just like, and that was a moment. You got to understand, like, that was a moment for Gina, for myself, for the whole South Jersey. Because Gina was from South Jersey too.
Yeah.
So Gina was putting South Jersey on the map. You know what I mean? We ain't never had an artist come from South Jersey like that. So, and that song was rocking the clubs and radio like nonstop. So, that was an incredible moment, man. I just blessed to even.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, we're gonna show you how we produce a smash from scratch, starting now. Niggas can't get in the car, drive down the block. Gonna tear this shit up. And they're gonna have to be a motherfucking love soundtrack for that shit. There's gonna be a lot of motherfucking revolutionary babies made, and a lot of motherfucking war dance celebrating motherfucking victims.
When I walked in here, I didn't understand what they meant by the frequency. But everybody's vibe when you go into the different rooms is different, and that's really what frequencies are.
Going to it, I'll show you what I like, don't like. We keep on going back and forth, making it great though. But you understand the instructions very well, and it's feeling right though. You know what I'm saying?
It's different tones and different feelings and different vibes just coming from different people. And when you go into that place, you feel whatever the room feels. And I think that's probably been one of the most amazing things about this place is that wherever you go in the rooms that you go in, you feel how the room feels. You know what I'm saying?
But then within the label, did it feel like something big had happened, or did you think, well, we've got Jodeci, we've got Mary, we've got Heavy, we still have all the acts? So what was it like?
We still had the acts, but Puffy had total control over Mary at that time. So she was on Uptown, but he was making it seem like she was on Bad Boy. You see what I mean? And then he was building his roster off of it. Mary had helped platform Biggie, which didn't need much platforming, but she was a part of a lot of songs that Biggie were on, and it was more like she was a Bad Boy artist. You know what I mean? And when Puffy left, he left with a lot of my promotional staff, my marketing staff. He left with a lot of people that were working with him at Uptown. You know what I mean? And he made a real power move. And also, when he left, we didn't stutter step at all. We came out with Soul for Real, Lost Boys, but they ain't Biggie Small.
Whose idea was it? Because Slim has one of the most unique voices, and I just love those guys. When they were 4, I know that they've got the issues right now, but back then, it's just that Slim sounded so different, and then, as I said, Q and Mike, and it was just.
I know. You know what I loved about Slim voice? Slim voice reminded me of Kevon from After 7.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I always loved about
Kevon,
Slim's
yeah.
voice. Kevon has one of the most amazing
Yeah,
voices
yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And but something about Slim's voice reminded me of Kevon and me personally. So that's what I loved about it. And so then it was interesting. I never forget the day that Puff, this is a call that he made, and I got to give it up to him at work. 2 things. He called one day, was like, hey, from now on, Slim got to lead all the songs. It was like, huh?
Wow.
It's like, nah. He said, every group need a leader. Slim is, from now on, from this moment on, Slim is the leader of the group.
What?
And we was like, it's like, yeah, man, he got to do it. It's got to be done. The other guys got good voices, but it ain't translating right on these records, man. This ain't feeling right. They need to feel younger in his voice. So that's how it's got to go, man. I know they all, they don't want to look at it like that, but it's how it's got to be. And I'm glad that he made that call because it worked. And another call that Puff made that nobody wanted to do, came time for the single to come out. Montel Jordan was putting out, I always get their names. Which one, Montel, that did This Is How We Do It? Is that Montel Jordan?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah,
that was Montel Jordan, right?
Yeah.
I get the last name mixed up.
Yeah, it is.
He was coming out with the single that had the exact same beat as Only You, the original Only You. I called Puff, I was like, hey, man, we got to go to a different single, man. Montel Jordan coming out with this song that got the same sample. Yeah,
okay, yeah.
And Puff said, wait a minute, really? He got a song that's coming out with the same sample? Like, yes, the exact same sample. So, man, we need to go to, because we all wanted Come See Me to be the first single. So then Puff was like, oh, man, it was classic Puff. Like, I really wanted to be, and basically he was happy that Montel had come out with the same thing. That's how competitive Puff is. That's one thing I can give up to him. He's like, oh, it's really I can't say how he really said it because it was like some cuss words in there. I'll keep it clean. But he was like, I really wanted to be the first singer. Now that just made my day. Let's go. Like, what? But he was already thinking ahead, okay, we could do a remix. We're going to put Biggie on the remix. And the rest was history, man.
Wow.
Only You came out with Biggie. Room 112, Where the Players Dwell. That was it. And so we all had to be like, wow, he was right. So, yeah, man.
Did anyone have your back in those early days to say, okay, this is what needs to be done on the album. This is what's going to happen, so that there was no surprises that you were aware of, that the fact if you're not right.
Definitely, Biggie made sure we got paid. We did get paid for the record. We still do make money from the record. If not, I think now it does say feature in total. I'm not sure. But, initially, get it. That wasn't the plan. Biggie's first record wasn't supposed to be a feature. You understand what I'm saying? So, but we did get paid, and we do still get royalties, performance royalties for being on this record.
I was referring to your first album. So when you got to your album, were when you were right doing your first total album, did your manager explain, okay, this is what happens, how it gets split, so there's no surprises, you could go platinum and there's no surprise as to how things work out?
Yes, we definitely understood, the story of the budgets, but back then, again, artists, we had big budgets and we spent big money on videos, wardrobe, artist development. So you very seldom recoup. So we knew, you know, exactly that, you know, we want to get car service every day. That's coming out of our budget. We have to pay that. You know, like a lot of artists back then really only seen money from touring.
Did you, when you saw how Def Jam worked, being a massive label as it was, did you then think, wow, this is still better than the situation we had before? Or did you think, oh man, if we were back at Bad Boy, we probably would have gone those singles out and stuff?
Financially, it was a better situation. You know what I mean? Definitely better.
Never would have made that money. No, we'd have never made that money.
At Bad Boy, we would have never made that kind of money. You know?
Typical record deal is structured something like this. The record label gives in advance, say $250,000 to the artist to record an album. The artist then records the album. Suppose that the album sells 500,000 copies at $10 each, yielding $5 million. The record label then takes their cut out of the $5 million, typically 85% of the total sales, leaving the artist with $750,000. But before the artist receives any payments, the label first deducts the advance. In addition, the record label recoups other costs such as recording costs, half the promotion costs, half the video costs, and tour support. This leaves the artist $425,000 in debt to the record label. And then this debt gets carried on to the next album, the next album, and the next album.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between us, or even loving us, on which I didn't miss you.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No, okay, you're okay.
They don't understand what Jodeci's voice is winning all spirits.
Play it.
I mean, I love all different genres.